Here's something a student from the Minister's Student Advisory Council actually said to me. He said to me, everybody knows there's a stigma about the applied course. There just is. And nobody wants to be labeled with that. And that's when I asked him why he took academic as opposed to applied math. Nobody wants to go in that course. There's a stigma. Teachers know it, right? Here's what one of the teachers said to me, and this was typical of what I heard, right? Think about how we talk about applied math sometimes, right? I hear it all the time. I think Billy should drop down to applied. Just think about that. If you're Billy, that's kind of saying, I'm not worthy of being in the other course. Oftentimes, the first thing we do in secondary schools is we give them a test. Let's make sure they're in the right course. We're sifting and sorting and moving kids and basically saying to them, I don't think you can do this. So I'm going to put you somewhere where I think you can do it. The way sometimes we approach students in the applied classrooms is not helpful. Instead, we need to help them to understand that what it is that they're doing is worthy, and they are worthy of learning math. There's a whole area of research that talks about stereotypes and what stereotypes can actually do. And a lot of work has been done about this when it comes to girls, for instance. So researchers have established the fact that just because girls are aware of the stereotype, it actually can get in the way of their performance. So researchers have done tests, and they've talked about how giving students an exam, this is at the college level, just having on the exam on the front cover, actually to check your gender, if you're male or female, just acknowledging that triggers a threat to girls, and their performance actually goes down. If students don't have that question, everything's hunky-dory. So we call this stereotype threat. And what I'm going to throw out there, my theory is students in applied classrooms are under a similar kind of a threat. They know they're not supposed to do well. The minute they sit down to write a test or an exam like EQAO, it triggers their response. You know what happens when you're threatened, right? Your brain actually freezes and it incapacitates you, and it actually can impact your performance. My theory is the same thing is happening with students in applied classrooms. There's all of this stuff related to them. They don't think they're supposed to do well, and we kind of feed into that. So some of the things that my case study schools did actually helped to impact this feeling of choking. Number one, I think when students actually have experiences where their thinking is actually valued and they can approach things from their own place, they're already trained. So when they get a problem and they see the problem, they actually can use their own devices. The research will say that your working memory when you're under a threat situation actually freezes. So for instance, if you're trying to recall a formula, let's say, and you're in a threat situation, you do not have the working resources to come up with that formula because you're in a threatened state. And a lot of times, and that's why in grade 9 applied, any math actually, for EQAO, the kids are given the formula sheets. It's not about the formula. It's about how kids can think. So the research will actually say that kids are in a better position if they're always solving problems, coming at it their own way. You give them a problem, they're just going to come at it their own way, the way they always do, which is far better than trying to force them to do it your way, that they won't remember when they're in a threat situation. So that's one of the things. Helping students to understand the kinds of questions. So an open response question, what kinds of things do I need to think about, right? We've actually helped them through that a little bit by exposing them to it and what it is that we expect. So just some things to think about in terms of, I really want you to think about your kids and the position that your kids are in and what they're thinking.